All right, I'm Mike Willis with USA Wrestling. We've got another Team USA Tuesday interview today. I am joined by Precious Bell, who is number 2 at 76 kilograms. Precious, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I've got a list of questions for you. Are you ready to jump into it?
Yeah, let's go.
Cool, let's do it. Favorite movie?
So that's kind of hard for me because I'm a very big movie person. So my favorite movies kind of just always swing back and forth. I think right now something I just watched a couple times would be Venom. I love it a lot. I love Marvel. I'm very, very big Marvel fan.
Who's your favorite superhero?
I'm more of a supervillain type of girl. So, The Punisher right now is my favorite.
Fair enough. That's a good one. Did you watch the Netflix series with the Punisher?
Yes, so good. It's his acting. The actor that played the Punisher is amazing. Like just the grunting and the just the psychological part about it. He actually seems like he's insane. So I loved it.
Cool, very cool. Who is your favorite musical artist?
Oh, Frank Ocean. I love Frank Ocean since I was in my teens. Someone I just really kind of just like love to listen to. It's actually tied. My second one up two, so it's Frank Ocean above all, but it would be Otis Redding. He's a old school R&B blues singer from back in like the 60s, 70s. Love that guy.
Yeah, he can. I'm thinking his big one is "Sitting on the Dock of the Bay," right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
my favorite song by him is "You Send Me." It's good.
He can make a pretty sad song sound pretty happy.
Yeah, he can make me pretty vicious on the max. That's who I listen to before I go out. Yeah, it's
Very
nice
cool.
and mellow.
So I guess this could be two-part answer, but what is your favorite food? And I guess I'll say when you're maintaining your weight and when you don't have to worry about weight at all.
Okay, honestly, my favorite food is burgers. I grew up in California my whole life and lived there most of my whole life. So In-N-Out is my favorite place. I can eat that nonstop. And honestly, for me, weight doesn't really matter. I eat burgers right before weigh-ins. I find a way to, get my workouts in so I can eat before tournaments. So yeah, it would be burgers. I say second would be tied with that is steak. I love steak. Oh, it's my favorite too. So burgers of all though.
I bet a lot of wrestlers are jealous about that. I think a lot of people would like to eat burgers before tournaments. Do you have a favorite cut of steak?
A favorite color?
Cut, like
Cut weight. No, not really. It just depends on the day. I know a lot of people are routine people. I'm a routine-ish person, but I have to spice it up. So I switch it up every now and then. I never stick to just one thing.
Gotcha. Fair enough. I meant cut of steak actually, not
cut.
But I appreciate on that one as well.
Trying to think. No, I actually don't. I eat anything. Anything that's steak. Anything is good for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Steak is good. Period.
Yeah.
Did you play any other sports growing up?
Yeah, so my whole life I ran cross country and track. I actually stopped just before, no, I kind of still wrestled and did it a little bit, but I kind of full dove into wrestling. But yeah, my whole life. So like that's something that I started when I was like 5 or 6 years old, just like straight running all the time, and was really good and naturally talented at it in middle school, and then went to high school and did it for a little bit.
Gotcha. What events did you do in track?
I was kind of all over the place in middle school. Middle school, I did like the 100, the 400, the 4x1, the 4x4, long jump. I did any races, 800. I did any races I can get my hands on, but my really good ones in high school would be the 400, just because I was so long for the 100. And I was fast, don't get me wrong, but just my start was always slow. So I was always getting that like 2 second delay versus the 400, even though I like took a minute to start up, it's just the more I go, the faster I get with my cardio. So I was always winning the 400 races. I forgot about the 200 too. The 200 is always good too. So that would be a good one.
Gotcha. Were you better at track or cross country?
Woo. I would want to say track just because cross country was like 10 miles and it was mentally tough. It was a lot of people that ran that race, so kind of just did it for conditioning. So yeah, I was better at track.
Gotcha. Who is your favorite wrestler to watch, either past or present?
Mm, that's kind of hard because I have a lot for different things. Um, I can say for someone I love watching just because I take so much of and kind of do his moves in my matches, which is I'm known for the ankle pick. So Kel, I watched him a lot because even though I'm a woman and he's a man, our body type is very similar. If you ever watched us, very, very long wrestlers. So kind of just love watching him wrestle and kind of just like the way he moves his body and he kind of like tears his opponents apart. So that's one person I really like watching wrestling.
Cool. Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with Kale. One of the goats for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, who or what are some of your hobbies off of the mat?
One of my hobbies off the mat will be I like to write and I also paint. Um, I like dancing, but not like professionally. I'm trying to think of what else. No, I think that's about it. Like those are the things that keep me kind of going, as you can say.
Gotcha. So this one you can be serious or you can be funny with it. But what is your biggest fear?
Oh, I think I'll be serious on this one because it's something I kind of just um, biggest fear would be spiders, but overall in life, I would say my biggest fear is becoming ungrateful. So like I have been, part of a very, great opportunity to be a part and be among a lot of talented individuals just like I am, and also do all of these like cool opportunities. Like last year I got to travel to like 5 different countries for free and I've never been out the country before. So it was just like kind of not putting anyone on blast, but kind of watching how it was taken for granted a lot, and also that it was just seemed like it was kind of required for them, and it was just like give me, and not thinking about these things are not actually deserved. Like you earn them, and then when you are given and taken care of, you should value this because a lot of people, especially that are doing the same sport as us or even the same like Olympic tier, don't get a lot of benefits that we do. And for me, being fresh and experiencing that already and knowing that, I kind of just like was telling myself like I don't want to be that, and that's kind of bad because I do catch myself sometimes thinking that like, hey, this should be done at this moment, or when tournaments go wrong or something go wrong, I get like very irritated and like they should know better. But it's just like like they have a lot of things going on and we kind of don't think about what other people are doing and what's going on in their lives and what they have going on. We think about ourselves. So I think that's just something I'm very fearful of because I don't want to become that person. I don't want to become ungrateful, and I don't want to forget that where I came from in my struggles. So I just want to appreciate life. So that's my serious take on my biggest fear is just becoming ungrateful.
Thanks for sharing that, Precious. Next question. How did you get involved with wrestling?
Ah, yeah. Okay. So keep it short. But I got involved in wrestling because I quit track and cross country. I wasn't really doing anything. Got bored of the sport. I was around 17, and I was just like, I need something new. And I was in my group home, and I was doing a lot of things that I shouldn't have been doing. I was kind of falling off my path, and I just decided I want to find a sport to get out of my group home. It was like fuel to get out of where I was at because we couldn't go outside by ourselves. We only could go in the backyard. We had to be supervised everywhere we went. I spent like my whole time in the house. So in a level 12 group home. So it was just like, I was just like kind of just trying to find something that would make me tired. And one day just something spoke to me about wrestling, and I went and tried out for wrestling, the only girl on the team. And even though I did get beat up really bad, for some reason it was like the first time I slept and had a good sleep in years because I was just tired, super tired, and I felt good. And all I know is I just kept coming back and coming back and coming back. And then I fell in love with the sport, something to keep me going other than track and cross country where it was just I'm running.
So you picked it up at 17, which is, very, very late in the game. I think people that pick it up in middle school or early in high school are still considered very late to the game. So picking it up at 17 and being where you are now, which is, again, number 2 at Olympic weight on the senior national team, is beyond impressive. What do you attribute that, incredible progression to?
God for most one. I I seem like I feel like I always sound loony when I say this, but when I was a little girl in 6th grade, my teacher asked us what we want to be. Everyone's like, "Oh, I want to be actor. I want to be a singer. I want to be this." And I was like, "I want to be Olympian." Like I messed up what I was saying. I was like 2020, 2021, whenever Tokyo, and I was just like kind of just saying it was going to be for running, and I just knew like I wanted to be a Olympian. And uh, I just I don't know, when I wrestled, I felt something in me that was different. Like I had to fight. Like I've been fighting all my life. Like when people start to get to know me and my story, I've fought every single day of my life for certain privileges that most among me had. So my mom is a fighter. I came from a bloodline of just like fighting strong individuals, and so that's just like kind of in me. And I kind of just noticed when I got ready to go to Minlo, wanted like just the place where I found myself and found like my coaches and my family, like just great, so grateful for those people. But just I noticed like it sparked in me like I can do this. Like once my coaches were like, because I was devastated. Like I only wrestled about 8 months in high school. Yeah, I had from like sophomore year to senior, but that was 8 months total because I was like in and out of the wrestling room and stuff. And yeah, I did some cool things in CIF and state, and that's what people kind of look at, but they didn't see the inside of what was actually going on in my life. And that's kind of the problem when it comes to like, to me, wrestling and who you are sometimes, because people kind of look at the surface level of what you accomplished versus what you're going through and what you're doing to get where you're going versus others. So I kind of just told myself that I can do this after Joey Bring and Marcus Randolph, my coaches at Minlo, were just like teaching me how to wrestle in college. Like I took a lot of losses my freshman year, and I sat and looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, even as I was like beaten up and just discouraged, like I knew who this person was. Like this is the person I recognized, and it was me being the fighter that I am. So I was just like, okay, I don't like losing. I don't like people beating me and having something over me. So I kind of just channeled that in a way and was just like, this is my calling. This is what God kind of like gave me the spark about when I was in, 6th grade. It wasn't track, it was wrestling. So I I pushed in my sophomore year. I met this smiling guy that just kept smiling at me after I took fifth in WCWAs, and that's when I met Terry. And he gave me the opportunities to, this is kind of his fault. Like, he gave me the opportunity to mess some things up for a lot of people early, because my goal was to just go and win WCWAs my senior year and then go to Olympic trials. But instead, he invited me sooner. So, yeah, that's just my spark. It's just to fight. And as I don't want that excuse of just because of who you are. Like, I hear a lot of people say that you can't wrestle. If you haven't wrestled this part, you're too young and you can't do this and it's too late. It's not true. Like, everything I do is not for, it's not really for the show. It's not really for show, and it's not really for like kind of the limelight. It's kind of just to prove to people that you can't say what people can do, because you're capable of anything that you put your mind to. And I'm proving that every single day versus the weight class that I am, or just the talent that I have. I only use maybe one to two moves and key basic things of being in a good stance and fighting to get all the way where I am. And this year makes 5.5 years that I have wrestled, from start to not knowing what I'm doing to finish to now. So, and I'm nowhere near done. So I think that's just my push, proving everyone wrong and kind of just changing perspective on how people think about talent and grinding, and not really looking at someone based on their accolades, but understanding that if you believe in someone, because I was someone's belief. I was Joey Brang belief. I was Marcus Randolph belief. Now I'm part of Kevin's belief. Like, if you believe in someone, you pour that time and that, power into them, they can become someone you couldn't beyond imagine. So that's just my push.
Speaking of belief, did you always believe in yourself and believe that you had the ability to become, a world-class wrestler?
No. No. I'm not gonna lie to anyone about that. I think so it's funny because I found out JB before I really knew who he was. I got tatted believe across my chest, and he has it small on his shoulder. But I got this after juvie, after everything that I went through, to remind me to be confident. Because in my life, there was a lot of people that told me I couldn't do things. There were stereotypes I was supposed to live upon. It was things that, you're talking about girl from juvie, foster care, and all the things that I have done that, now is representing the country. Like, that's something that people don't really think that is possible. And they actually kind of just put empathy with it. And like, oh my gosh, she did this, versus like, you think about anyone can do it. I just one day took a turn for the best and just told myself that I can do it. So no, I did not believe that I could do this. It took me praying. It took me to be evolved around. It took me being in an environment of people that believed in me. This is not just me. This is every single person that I have touched or talked to that have like picked me up. And I tatted that on my chest. That pain when I was sitting in the tattoo shop, just kind of just everything that I ever went through just like poured out. And I kind of just like look in the mirror every day. Like, this is my reminder. This is my why. So like, I look at it, and now I do believe I can do a lot more than what I did before. And it's always some kind of doubt there, because that's fear. That's fear, and fear is what protects you sometimes. It tells you like, you don't want to get your heart broken, because every day, even right now while people are resting, I'm breaking myself. And I'm putting myself in, uncomfortable situations. I just moved to a state by myself with people I don't know, away from family and friends, and starting over with not a lot of money, So it's just like, I'm doing things that if I don't make that Olympic team, or if I don't win these tournaments, that it's going to kill me. Like, it's going to hurt me. But, that's fear. Fear is a type of protection, but you can also use to just like push yourself for the greater good, So yeah, so no, I've never always been confident, but that's why I tatted it on my chest. So every day, for people that know what it stands for, they know, they see it, and I see it. So it's stuck with me forever.
So you've very recently moved to Wisconsin, switched up your training situation a little bit. Can you talk a little bit about the move and what prompted it and kind of where you are now?
Yeah, so what prompted it is everything with COVID that happened. I prayed a lot. There's a lot of things that God has, I feel like, been talking to me about, especially with me going into Olympic trials as number 2. I was kind of just like I have a college season and I'm not the only one that's doing this, but I was just thinking about like all the things that I had to do and how anxious I was, and I was just praying for God, give me a sign, because I need to know what you're doing with me, like why you planted this dream like in my soul, and why am I like doing all of this, because just like in about 3 weeks my life was going to change, and it was either I made that Olympic team or I didn't. And I don't know, I was just praying to him like, tell me what I'm doing. So once COVID happened, they postponed it to 2021, and I kind of just was like, okay, he's talking to me, because you have a lot of opponents that talk about what they're going to do and everything, and I was one of the people that didn't talk about it. Like, I didn't talk about where I'm going to go for 2020, I'm going to make the Olympics, all of that, not because I didn't believe in myself, just because something didn't feel right. And then I also believe it's kind of disrespecting the people you go against. But I kind of just like stayed patient and just like stay in the course. And then when I found out I had an extra year, I was like, whew, okay, I don't know what this sign is, but okay. Then everything shut down, and it was like, okay, now I got time for my body to rest, I can think. And then I was thinking, like, where should I go? And I was like, okay, I really wanted to go to Olympic Training Center. I really wanted to train and be in that athletic, environment. And I trained so hard to get there. I like betted my whole life on it. And then for it to fall through kind of just hurt me even more. And it's not just me, it's a lot of the athletes are affected by this. And kind of like, it shows how high level athletes on the Olympic side is not really treated. We're treated well, but it's just, we pour our whole life into something that's not guaranteed, basically. So I kind of panicked and was praying. I was like, okay, give me a sign where to go. And I kind of like created a list, because David Goggins is someone I kind of listen to a lot. Crazy guy, by the way. But he listed like things that you want to do, things that you don't want to do. And it's like things that I won't want to do. I won't want to move out California. I don't want to go in the middle of nowhere. I don't want to go somewhere where I don't know people. I don't want to do things that are like I'm not used to. So it's like, in his book, that's like the things that you have to do. So I'm like, okay, I just set myself up. Like, these are things I'm gonna have to do. So this was that added to my list of where I wanted to go. And then God has been the number one in my life for so long, So I was just like, I want to go somewhere where God is, my coach is a godly man or a godly woman, and he's talking through him or her. And I just start talking to people like, hey, I'm looking for a place to go. I want to train. I want to do this. This is where I'm looking for. I'm looking for like kind of a permanent kind of place to go. And seeing all the people come to me or talk to me. And then someone important to me reached out to a friend, and that friend gave me Kevin Black, and I didn't know who this man was. And now I know why I didn't know who he was, not because he's not an accomplished man, not because he's not great, just because he gives all the glory to the athlete and to God. God is number one, and then the athlete is the person that put in the work, So I kind of just, before knowing that, finding that out now, living here for 3 weeks, I was kind of talking to him, and the way he was talking, the way he was saying things, and the fact that he said, like, all glory goes to God, like, we're wrestling through him, he's serving for him. I was just kind of like, okay, this is for me. This is for me. So I bought a ticket the next day. And I just like betted my whole life, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to Wisconsin. I didn't even really know the city. So I live in River Falls, Wisconsin now, looking like it's going to be permanent. And yeah, I'm here, and it's beautiful. And have been going through a lot, but it's that nut in me. It kind of reminds me of wrestling all of those uncomfortable situations and not knowing. So it's like getting mentally ready for war in a couple months.
So being, number 2 on the team, one person ahead of you is Adeline Gray, who is one of the best wrestlers of all time. what does that do for you and your psyche when you're training and your mentality? You know, that I think a lot of people would look at that and just be like, well, you know, being number two is great. I have one of the best of all time in front of me. What's your mentality towards it?
Um, Trying to figure out how to articulate my words without it seeming. I'm not really worried about that. Like, not in a way where I'm not worried about her. I'm not saying that because she's great. I wouldn't be able to have this opportunity if it wasn't for women like her creating the path for me and other wrestlers and putting women's wrestling on the map. But this is more than her to me. This is my family. This is my well-being. This is, you know, me proving a point and going back and giving power and speaking up to the injustice that I went through and others are going through right now. So in a way, it's just, for me, it's pushing. I love the challenge. Like, honestly, I wouldn't want it any other way. Like, I always pray to give me the hardest challenge so I can show how great I can be and how great I am and how I can keep prevailing and do things people can't say. Like, I started wrestling 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. Who can say that they have done what I have done in that much of time and accomplish what I accomplished based on like what I was going through and circumstances I was raised through and went through, you know? So it's kind of just like, I want that's a blessing. I'm glad that I get to, you know, rumble with the best woman in the world. So I'm hyped for that. As much as it seems like I might be doubted a lot, which I am, and I have proved their point last year in Final X because there's just a lot of things mentally I wasn't ready for, and as in just my fault. But you know, that's even better. Fuel to the fire. I'm not relaxed. I'm pushing every day, and I have something to fight for. And I, at the end of the day, she makes our sport what it is, and pretty soon I will be doing the same thing because I'm the future of it. So I have all respect to it, but I really don't look at it in a way where I'm number two and I have to face off against her because I'm not really focused on her, which I don't even think she's focused on me. She's probably focused on other people that she's gonna, if she beats me, like, again, like, she would have to focus on the Olympics. You know, I don't think I'm her main focus either. So I don't know if I put that right, but yeah.
I appreciate it, Precious. I do want to touch on one specific accolade briefly because I know you said it goes beyond accolades and it goes you know, beyond placements and stuff. But the 2019 U.S. Open, I think, was probably eye-opening for people that didn't know you or had heard of you but weren't really familiar with you. I think you came in as the number 5 seed. You rattled off 3 technical falls and you picked up a pin in the finals over a national team member. Can you talk about that tournament and, you know, your wrestling during that tournament and maybe the immediate aftermath of the tournament?
Yeah, sure. That tournament means a lot to me. I don't really dwell on the past too much, past accomplishments, because I believe that I'm always 2 times a better wrestler as I was then to now. But that tournament is kind of just like what sparked everything for me because how did I put this? That tournament put me in a spin. Like, I had a bad year in my like opinion. Like, I was number 1 and number 2 in college, got upsetted at WCWAs and got 4th just because of my mentality, just because I felt sick. And, you know, I use that as a crunch. And as it does take in some, you know, but that's my responsibility to like prevail. So it's like I had to fight myself through that. And I'm very hard on myself sometimes. So I had to do that. And then I had to go through, you know, losing to my best friend, Diamond Guilford, and she caught me in the throw. And it was just like me getting mad because I was getting caught in a lot of throws just due to the lack of knowledge of positioning. And that's just something that just like makes me so mad when I know I can do better and I can win a match, but I get caught up or I lose just like I did in U23s because I was putting myself in a bad position that I didn't really have knowledge of how to get out of. And it's kind of public. Like if you watch those matches, it's like how do you not know that? And it's just like, yeah, kind of new, crunching a lot in at one time. But yeah, I kind of just went into that tournament like I'm just gonna do my best. Like again, I always pray, so I was like praying. I was just like, all right, give me a sign of what I'm doing here, because it's just like last time I went to U.S. Open, I took 7th. It was just a bad tournament for me all the way around, and I just felt very bad about myself for some reason. So then as soon as I get there, I lose my backpack. Actually, a parent took it on accident because he thought it was his daughter's, and it had my phone, my laptop, my wrestling shoes, my singlets, everything in it. And I was just like, great. So now I have no phone. I have no singlet, no shoes. I have nothing. I didn't have my badge or anything. So I was like, okay, great. I show up and the first thing people say is like, how do you lose your backpack? Why you just set your backpack around? Not like asking me, hey, are you okay? How are you feeling? Because I'm the wrestler. So like I gotta go out there and compete. It's just like, how come you did that? It's like, do you think I really wanted to do that? Like, so ran into Marcy. Kind of the second time I met her, I didn't really know who she was that much, but she like talked to me. My coaches were helping me out trying to look for shoes. I had some friends that were there that are from Lancaster where I went to high school and helped me out, gave me some shoes. And then I talked to Mensa and she was like, hey, like Tyne just made my singlets too big. You can wear these if it's okay, with her last name on it. So I was like, all right, I got some singlets. I'm not really tight. Is this okay? And they were like, yeah, it's fine. You know, adds Mensa on the back. So it looks like I'm just wearing like a novelty singlet. So I was repping Titan that day, and I wasn't part of them yet. I actually became part of them because of that tournament, which is blessed. But I was just telling myself I was drinking a Coke, and yeah, I was drinking a Coke. And it was kind of me just realizing, like, I don't know, it was kind of me realizing, like, I have nothing to lose. Like, I just lost everything, kind of. So my first match, I kind of warmed up. I kind of felt the Coca-Cola in my system. I was like, ugh. It was like super jittery and all over the place. So I wasn't really like, me and sugar are not good. So I was kind of just like, everywhere, spastic, crazy. And then I just like had this mentality of like, I'm gonna win this. Like I told myself after that match, like I'm gonna win this. I'm gonna give it my all. Like I have something to prove. I owe this to myself. Like I work hard. I'm gonna do this. So I kept going, and then I had 3 important matchups, and I respect these women. I respect these 2 women a lot, like a lot. So I had Nahyla McGee, who was someone in my same like area of high school, and it was just kind of a thing where everyone never seen us wrestle. We're both great wrestlers. It was a little bit of like tension because it was always like she could beat me or like something like that. And we have never wrestled because we were always 2 different weight classes. So it was just kind of like, I know, just a good match for me to prove who I am. So like I took that by tech, or I think tech, yeah, it was tech or something. And then I kind of just showed my talent in ankle picks and stuff. And I was hoping, which it did happen, that Kel saw, because that's who I learned. I taught myself how to ankle pick by watching his videos. I spent a year every night of just like an hour of just like studying his video, just because, I don't know, I liked how he wrestled. I liked how quiet he was and his mentality, because I'm a very quiet person at times. So then I had Paige Baines, who's a great, phenomenal 191 wrestler. And she's a bully for sure. And I liked that match because it just showed how both strong of individuals we both were. Won that match, and then I had Hannah Gladden next. And as much as we're good peoples, but that match was a little important to me because, again, like you said, she was a national team member, and I just kind of wanted to prove that I can kind of, be at that level. Like, I'm ready to take that responsibility. And I kind of just saw how she didn't really, like, she was ready to, like, kind of just blow through me. And that's what I kind of like when people wrestle me, is when you're trying to beat me at my own game and be overly aggressive. Like, I like that because I have levels to my aggression. I can be very calm and very sway, or I can be very nasty and mean. And I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'll laugh it off, not at them, but just at myself sometimes, because I can imagine myself, like, being out of character. Because for me, that's out of character. I'm not like that. So I noticed that for some reason she was always hanging on super long for a long time onto that single. So I was like, I think it was a high tier single. Either way, she'd get on the shot, she'd hang on a long time. It was like, I remember, because after I watched Kel, I remember seeing, like, something about David Taylor doing the same thing. It would kind of, like, and this is why I want, like, I always preach to people, video is important. But she kind of just, like, he kind of, like, cradled this person when they hanged on to the leg too long. And I was like, for some reason, it just, like, kicked in naturally. I was like, I saw it in my head, and I was like, I wonder what happens if I just, like, take the head, put my head in the middle, and cradle it. And yeah, I, like, end up winning. And I don't like the photo that much of me go, like, woo, but, like, I don't know what that feeling was. It was just a feeling of, like I did it, like, shocked at myself. I was like, if I can believe in myself more like this, I can do some crazy stuff pretty soon. Like, I was just amazed with everything I did. And as much as people won't really know what I went through those past couple months and what it took out of me, and everything that kind of just, like, ran through my mind, like, it didn't matter because my coaches knew, and I knew at the end of the day, and God knew, and that's who I'm honoring every time I wrestle. So it was good. And after that, I just remember being on this high. Like, it felt so good, and just getting that and being able to give that plaque to my coach, because that showed that, hey, like, this is, like, reinsurance. Like, hey, you recruited me when I didn't know how to wrestle, and you believed in me. You spent all that time. Here go a U.S. title, that you can have. This is something to, like, show you that I'm gonna do everything that we say we're gonna do together and beyond after. So yeah, and then I asked for my backpack back because I really needed that back. I wanted that back so much, and I was so happy when I got it back in California. Like, I was so happy. So yeah, that was a crazy tournament for me, but it was good. It was the start. It was the start of my career.
So this question might be tough to answer because you're at the start of your career, but do you know what you want to do after you're done competing yet?
Yeah, to me that's actually easy. So I want to be a big advocate for foster care and group homes and facilities for kids that were sexually and mentally abused. I want to kind of tell my story so it helps people understand and kind of put out the platform of, like, what I went through, and how important it is for families to be there. Because my mom is a freaking amazing human being. Like, she's been through a lot, and we had our differences, but she's a strong individual, and her being a single mom of 8 kids is phenomenal. And to her to keep going, even for what I went through, and us being distant and me being on my own, and her still being the greatest mom she can be to my other siblings, is just, like, phenomenal. And then my dad, who actually, like, took me in when I was older, that's, like, my dad, one of my bestest friends. Like, him just, like, being someone for me that I can kind of think of. And my coaches are like my dads too, Marcus Randolph and Joey Brang, them just being the best people that they can be is like me advocating to give back. So kids like me that go into women and being men can have those beautiful opportunities that I have and get those resources to live a good life. Because honestly, foster care didn't set me up for success at all. Like I shouldn't have, like I should be, because that's part of working, but just if people knew the things that I have to go through just to get food on the table or just to like live a comfortable life and have a roof over my head on top of trying to be a UFC wrestling, athlete and represent my country and do all these things is hard, and I majored in psychology because I also want to kind of just like find ways to help kids that deal with PTSD and mental health issues like me, anxiety and bipolar disorder, to just like find ways to not use meds, or if they have to use them, but find activities and other things to just like help versus just trying to like shut us up and get us to point A to point B, but help us get to point A, point B, and point C, like having a life after and not being so messed up after. So yeah, that's kind of something I kind of want to do. I have some other crazy stuff on my bucket list that I kind of too embarrassed to say what they are, but yeah, this is the biggest thing. I want to take that medal and not put it in kids' faces and be like, this is who you want to be, because no, you don't want to be like me. You don't want to do things that I did, and you don't want to be any other athlete there. You want to be better than that athlete. You want to use what you have for profit for others, and that's what I want to do. Like when I have that gold medal around my neck, whether it's U23, Olympic gold, world gold, whatever it is, I will be using that to give back to my community and using that to show that the environment I went through and prevailed through is golden in some way. So it's not about the medal or the career, it's about the outcome and every freaking barrier that I can break open to just get where I want to be so I can advocate that. So yeah, that's what I want to do when I get older.
Do you think there's any added pressure? Do you add any pressure on yourself as a person that's come through a lot of adversity and wants to eventually give back to the community?
No, I don't think I add pressure on myself. I think this is what God made me for. I didn't ask for none of this stuff. Wrestling came to me. Terry came to me. Joey came to me. Minlo came to me. Kevin came in my path. Like everything that I have actually has been given to me from, I would say, accomplishing each obstacle that I have went through in my life and believing in God. So I would say this is my path I'm supposed to live in. If anything, I can say yes, it stops me from living comfortably, living in my own place, and I have to struggle with work and then trying to wrestle and then trying to lift and then trying to do all these things. So yes, it stops me from living comfortable and having a comfortable life, but I'm not adding no pressure on myself. I don't ever feel like it's a lot of pressure on me. I love it. Like I think that's like a great thing about the way I was like built, was pressure is, if I don't have something making me uncomfortable, or if I don't have something pushing me, then I go look for it. Whether it's jumping off a cliff or teaching myself how to backflip or doing something, I'm looking for it. So yeah.
So this question is probably, the answer is definitely too long for just, one interview. But if you could maybe express, something, I'm trying to find the words for this one. The foster care system is obviously incredibly difficult to grow up in, but if you could express maybe one thing that maybe someone that is unfamiliar with the system doesn't understand about it, what would it be?
So I have a thing with that kind of stuff, kind of like what I say all the time is people should be educating themselves in that, because I always find myself trying to, like, when I'm in situations, trying to learn about everything that I don't know. But that's probably just because I go through a lot of those things. But I would say one thing I want people to know about foster care would be that in certain counties, the houses are very short. So it's not guaranteed that a kid get a place. Another thing is also just like understanding all those psychological traumas that a kid can go through. Like you have to think about the kid was either doesn't know their parents or know their parents and stripped away from their parents and have to live in these different homes and forced to be in a different environment. And that gives psychological problems. So when you're getting a kid, you have to understand that you're not just treating them, but you're taking in their mental health issues, you're taking in their trauma, you're taking in their insecurities, you're taking in a lot more responsibility. So if you're honestly genuinely want to be a foster parent, do it because you want to help an individual have a better life, not because you want the paycheck, because that's a lot of the reasons why people have foster kids. It's just a paycheck. They get paid a lot of money to take foster kids in, and to understand that you can't do something that's deeply rooted in yourself. If you're trying to take in a kid to make yourself feel good, you're just going to do nothing but damage that kid or push that kid away, and it's not going to lead to anywhere good. I just want people to understand that the foster care system is a very complex. I know it's made out of good of someone's heart, the idea, but it's a very complex and sometimes detrimental system. And so a lot of things that happens behind closed doors that people don't know about. And I've been emancipated for foster care from when I was 21. So it's been like a fullish year, almost full 2 years. And I don't really have anything, like you gotta think about the kids like me that don't have parents. I was fortunate enough to like have my father figure in my life and people around me that like will help me if I absolutely need that. But you gotta think about I'm on my own, and you gotta think about when you get out of college and you do all those things, and you're trying to be an athlete or trying to do something that you love, that it's not guaranteed for you. You have to fight more. You have to worry about more things other than people around you. And yeah, so I wish I can answer that better, but it's a lot of complex things about foster care, and people look for babies and not really kids because they already come with baggage. Like I came with baggage, so I don't know. And that's why I'm like so driven to get where I am right now, so I can change that, because it's like so many complicated things that go into one. I'm sorry if I didn't answer that right. It's
No, that was a great answer, and thank you for sharing. And again, like I said, I don't think in one interview you could even come close to really scratching the surface with a topic that's that big and that complex. So thank you for putting into words maybe some things that folks watching wouldn't be aware of normally.
right.
So what do you think the best advice you've received in your career is?
Oh, Rhea, that's easy. Okay, so recently I was at practice with Kevin, and he was, because like, we always say practice makes perfect, practice makes perfect, practice makes perfect. So I'm always trying to do things perfect. If I don't do this right, then I get frustrated, then I get mad, because I'm just like, yeah, I still gotta learn how to sprawl, I still gotta learn how to fight, I like hand fight, I still gotta learn this and this and this and this. So I just get like all crazy in my head, and it's like, so like I just kind of just noticed that he said, what did he say? He said practice makes permanence. So it's just like everything that I'm doing is going to be permanent. Like it speaks for my life too. Like me constantly fighting and never giving up. I can't go to sleep at night if I couldn't even lift a weight right. Like I write about it, and then the next day I'm like going back at it, even if I'm hurting, So it's like that was a practice, and that made permanence. That's like my personality, who I am. So in wrestling, if I keep going at it, if I keep trying to break my opponent and get to different levels in myself, practice makes permanence. I'm going to do that in a match. So I think that's the best advice I ever got in my career so far. It's some other good stuff like Terry and his bamboo, and Joey with being tough, and it's a lot of other things, but right now that's like number one on my list, because that goes with my life right now.
Yeah. In the same vein, what advice would you give to a younger wrestler that's maybe just starting out in their career?
Be you. Believe. Got that title on my chest, and I actually like that. I know a lot of people use that word, but that's engraved. Like when I die, that's like engraved in who I am and what I have done in my path. Don't let anyone tell you that you can do anything because your path is different. Don't look. So I have people I do like to look at and who I do inspire to be like Hill and Jordan Burroughs and Clarissa and all these people, but I don't idolize them and I don't put them over myself because I know I'm going to be just as great as them someday. So it's just like believing your path. Your path is different from everyone else. Just even if you're losing right now, it doesn't matter if you can't get something right. It doesn't matter if you're winning right now because that's not guaranteed that you're going to be winning next year. Like you just keep true to who you are in your path and just know that your story is going to be different than everyone else's, and do not compare your story, because if you compare your story, you will kind of just like set yourself back. Number one thing that I always believe in is you yourself as a person is your biggest competition. I'm my biggest competition, not any of the girls I'm wrestling, not Adeline, not Kevin, not anyone, just me. I'm my biggest competition, even though Kevin might put me on my head. But he's not my biggest competition. I'm my own biggest competition because I got to live in my head and you have to live in your head. So just believe in yourself and be okay with your path and trust in yourself and enjoy life in wrestling because nothing is promised. So that's my advice.
This Juneteenth, USA Wrestling put out an article that was really just some national team members weighing in on what Juneteenth meant to them and the significance of the holiday. You gave a pretty poignant response, thought out longer. But do you want to maybe elaborate a little bit about it and why you took the time to craft something like that?
Yeah, so it's been a lot. So again, the guy that I call my dad is white, and me and him had a lot of conversation. My mom is a very mixed individual. She's mixed with a lot, but she identifies as African American. My brother and sister were all mixed with different things. My friends, the people that I love, that I look up to, are all different races. So I'm a very ethnic person. Like, I don't believe in racism at all, or even prejudice. Like, I believe in love. So I was just thinking about it because I was getting why everyone on the USA, like USA wrestlers, were getting a little irritated because everyone's just now noticing the racial differences and kind of just like how things are right now. And it's kind of disrespectful because it's been that way. And I feel like the only reason why people are looking at it is because, again, something happened to force you to. But if you look at it now, like some people are still going, but it died down now, and something that happens, and that gets frustrating. And then people tell us that like it's disrespectful for you to kneel, it's disrespectful for you to say the things that you're saying, but what you're doing every day is disrespectful to my culture and my race to not understand or study history. We're disrespected in history. Like, it's like if you actually go and look at dates and do your history and stuff, like we were not free. African Americans weren't free when America got their independence. Okay, boom. So you got to understand the pain that comes from that flag. And I'm not saying that we don't value it, because I value it, because it shows how far my country, the people I love, ancestors, and my ancestors have fought to make it equal, so I can raise that flag up, in the air, and I can wear it on my chest. I love that flag. That flag has my blood, sweat, and hard tears like on it. It's not the flag, it's just the story. It's the song. It's the blood of my people and other people of different races that has it on it. And you got to think about equality of all rights, not just African American rights, but women rights, LGBTQ rights. Like, they just, kind of legalized marriage 3 years ago for LGBTQ, and people don't recognize that. Like, imagine not being able to love a person, marry the person that you love, and then also for women not having equal rights of all colors and all races. And then being part of a culture that was beaten, spit on, given a word to categorize them as that people use today, and kind of just like be singled out and all these things all the time. And honestly, looking at it, it's been about 50, 60 years since we had real, somewhat kind of freedom to just be who we are without it being okay and passed up that you can hit us or spit on us or do things. So it's like, I don't think people are like looking at that in that kind of way. And instead of listening and understanding, it's just like immediate defense. Like, boom, you're attacking my race, you're attacking me. That's not who I am. And that's not what we're saying. I'm not saying that when what I said, and I feel like the intentions of others, that's not what they're saying. We're saying, hey, this is what we have to go through. As an African American woman, yes, I still have to worry about things. I have to worry about people saying that I'm just talented because I am African American and my body type, and if I'm loud, I'm looked at in a certain way. Like, it just like bugs me, because now people are starting to do things, and we have women that wrestle for USA that are African American, but when are they actually appreciated back then? Except for now. Now they are. Now they're being put on things, but if you look at past things, covers of things, articles of things, they weren't, giving enough limelight, or equal opportunity, because that's not what the face of America, like, when I'm thinking about this view, it's like when people are looking or want things, it's not what America profits off of. And it's the same thing when you look at, I love Flow, by the way, but it's the same thing when you look at Flow wrestling. Not a lot of women, not a lot of Greco. They repeat the same people, and it's a lot of freestyle men, mostly of a certain color. So it's just like, that's what profits though, and it's not their fault, it's what profits. So it's like, you have to think about, since we have to kind of just live with that, it gets annoying. Puts our hard work to, I don't know how to explain it, like, it kind of just demeans our hard work and who we want to be, and it doesn't give us, especially as women wrestling in a man's sport, it doesn't give us the respect, it doesn't give Greco the respect. It's a lot of things that I probably say that a lot of people will get channeled and mad about, but why are you mad about it? Like, it's the truth, and it's just like, what are we doing to solve it? Nothing. And it's kind of annoying. So when I put that, I kind of just put that that's kind of just what it is. And everyone asks what drives me, why I'm so talented, because I have the blood of fighters. My ancestors were slaves. They were beaten. They were taken from their country. I'm also mixed with other things, and they're also fighters. I am built from rage, disappointment. I'm built from fear. I'm built from, sacrifice, pride, standing up. Like, I have all of that in my blood, so I value that. So when I do kneel, if I do decide to bow, when I do step on that mat with USA on my chest, like I said, I picture my ancestors smiling at me because I'm making them proud. I'm not taking their blood for granted, that they shedded for just to fight for this country, So now that they shedded all that blood to fight for America, and I get to wear USA on my singlet, and I get to love that flag, I get to celebrate the 4th of July if I choose to, I get to have a holiday in a month, in a year, like, I'm gonna take advantage of that, and I'm gonna love this country and love the people that fought along with others to make this country equal. And for the people that, don't like that, God bless your soul, I pray for you, and you're still loved. I'm not gonna show any hate to you or anything. So it's like, I think that's just kind of just what I was saying, and trying to like show people so they understand in a way that they can, and just like empathize with people and talk and have the conversations. And I've been a part of a lot of conversations where people are actually trying to like talk and understand, but talk and understand, and don't put your opinion in it. Just listen to the people that are talking to you, and try to some way understand what they're going through. Because it's like the same thing, like, let's say my racial background, and how I'm kind of just like pictured if I do certain things, and the opportunities I get can be this interpreted in a different way versus like if a person is, you know, sexualized, or if a person is harassed, or if a person's like, if you put in all the work and then someone else takes credit for your work, that's like the same thing. Like not the same thing, but that's like the same feeling. So think about those times where you're put in situations that made you feel bad about yourself and not right, and then think about how I feel and think about how often that happens to me just because my skin is darker, you know, and that this is a recurring thing that's been happening for hundreds of years. So just, I think that was just my thing. And I kind of find my words and try to say the right thing because I'm loved by a lot of different people from a lot of different ethnic backgrounds. And I appreciate it. And I know how hard that they work. I know how hard that they fought for equality and many others. So I'm not taking away that from my country. I'm not taking that away from my country, and I'm not taking away from other people, but I am kind of putting the pressure and kind of like calling out the people that stand up to a certain level or just accept it, because your silence is violence. Like you are, if you stand by and let it happen, then you are valuing yourself and your privilege more than the others, and you don't really care about freedom. It bothers you and you feel guilty, but it actually doesn't like rock you to your core. So that's my spiel.
Thanks, Precious. I think there's a lot to unpack there. So I hope that folks that watch this listen and you know, think about that going forward.
Yeah.
So I've got one more question for you, then I'll let you go. But what is your best wrestling memory to date?
Does it have to be mine?
No, just the best wrestling memory today.
Okay. I would say I was watching the Flow films. They're actually really good. So I was watching them, and I would say it would be the Terry Brands match before the Olympics when he lost. It was like his journey. I'm very fascinated in people that kind of have a drive like I do, like people before me, because I get to watch how they kind of channeled that darkness and stuff. And it kind of made me laugh because like the Brands brothers are kind of talking about how he like when he lost, it's not funny, but it's like reminded me of something I did when he lost. He like said that he wanted to like run in the mountains and stuff like that. And when I lost to Adeline, I just wanted to like find a closet and sleep in it. Like, I don't know. Like it was that feeling of like I was just like enraged with myself, and wrestling's my everything. That was my everything, and I just felt that darkness when I was watching like that highlight, and I was just like, oh, I know that feeling, and it just kind of brought that back to me, because it wasn't about her beating me. It was about me cowering down to pressure and not being that fighter that I know I can be. And then also just like, to me, this is how I think wasting my time, because I literally killed myself every day and do all these things to go out there and wrestle less than who I was. Like I never wrestled like that, and I did because of a lot of things, but whatever. So yeah, I kind of just like, that was like greatest, like that's a wrestling moment that will always stick in my head, because after his journey is beautiful, and the way that he just like conquers everything after, and the way he just kind of speaks through, man, I just wish these men coaches, these really good D1 men coaches, would just like take in some women wrestlers, because dang, like, but anyways, because I have a couple I really want to freaking be a part of, but anyways, like just that nuttiness, that craziness, I think just always sticks with me, because that's stuck in me. Like I'm crazy human sometimes, so I just, yeah, that's my favorite. And not his sorrows and not his hurt, but just the fuel, the fire God gave him to prevail and do what he did later. That's a highlight to me. So, yeah, that's
Awesome.
mine.
Well, thanks again, Precious. Thanks for your time and thanks for opening up a little bit. It's been another Team USA Tuesday.